It all started as an innocent dinner with friends. The conversation had drifted to relationships, trust, and the funny quirks everyone brought into their marriages. Someone mentioned how they once caught their spouse sneaking bites of ice cream late at night, and everyone laughed. When it came to me, I made what I thought was a harmless joke. "Well," I said with a grin, "if I ever cheated, you wouldn't even know because I'm just that good at hiding things." The table went silent, except for a couple of nervous chuckles. I quickly added, "Of course, I'm kidding. I'd never do that." But the look on my husband Mark's face wasn't amused. He laughed along with the group, but there was something in his eyes that unnerved me. Later that night, as we drove home, the air in the car felt heavy. Mark didn't say much, and when I asked if everything was okay, he gave me a curt, "Fine." But things weren't fine. Over the next few days, I noticed a shift. Mark seemed distant, his usual warmth replaced with a quiet reserve. At first, I chalked it up to work stress, but when he started avoiding my touch and giving clipped responses, I knew it was more than that. Finally, I confronted him. "Mark, what's going on? You've been acting so strange since dinner the other night." He sighed deeply and looked at me with a seriousness that sent a chill down my spine. "Do you know how much that joke hurt me?" he said. "I can't stop thinking about it." "Why would you even say something like that?" I stumbled over my words, trying to explain. "It was just a joke. I wasn't serious at all. You know I'd never cheat on you." "That's the thing," he said quietly. "I thought I knew, but now I'm not so sure. Why would you even joke about something like that unless it's something you've thought about?" My heart sank. "Mark, no. I swear I've never even considered it. You're everything to me." But he shook his head. "You don't understand. That kind of joke plants a seed of doubt. How do I know you're telling the truth? How do I know there's not something you're hiding?" The conversation spiraled from there. He started questioning things I never thought he'd doubt. Why I sometimes stayed late at work, why I locked my phone, even the tone of my voice when I spoke to male friends. No matter how much I reassured him, it didn't seem to matter. The joke had cracked something in our relationship, and now he couldn't unseen it. "I need time to think," he said eventually. "I don't know if I can trust you anymore." Those words broke me. I never imagined something so small could cause such a rift. It was just a joke. A bad one, sure, but it wasn't meant to hurt anyone. Now, Mark is staying with a friend, and I'm sitting here, replaying every moment in my head, wishing I could take it back. How did a single sentence manage to unravel everything we built together? And how do I even begin to fix this? As the days passed, Mark's absence weighed heavily on me. Our home felt colder, quieter, and emptier without him. I reached out to my closest friend, Sarah, hoping she could provide some clarity, or at least help me process what was happening. "Sarah," I said, my voice cracking over the phone, "do you think I'm a terrible person? That I could have actually made him believe I'd cheat?" Sarah paused for a moment, choosing her words carefully. "You're not a terrible person, and I know you'd never cheat. But, honestly, that joke probably touched a nerve you didn't realize existed. You need to talk to him, really talk. Not to defend yourself, but to understand why he's feeling this way." Her words stayed with me. I had been so focused on proving my innocence that I hadn't stopped to consider what might be going on in Mark's mind, what fears or insecurities my joke might have triggered. That evening, I sent him a text. "Mark, I know I hurt you," and iced as I waited for his reply. Minutes felt like hours, and when his response finally came, my heart raced. "Tomorrow evening. I'll come by after work, The next day, I barely focused on anything. I replayed every possible version of our conversation in my head, imagining what he might say, what I could say, and how we might bridge the chasm between us. When Mark arrived, his expression was guarded, his usual warmth replaced with a calm detachment. He sat on the couch, and I joined him, leaving enough space between us to respect the invisible wall he had built. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," he began, his voice steady but strained. "That joke wasn't just a joke to me. It felt like you were trivializing something that could destroy us. And I can't stop wondering why you'd say it." I took a deep breath, fighting back tears. "Mark, I need you to know that it was never meant to hurt you. I wasn't trying to make light of cheating or anything like that. I thought it was harmless banter, and I see now how wrong I was. But I promise you, it wasn't because I've ever thought about cheating or hiding something from you. He looked at me, his eyes searching for something. Honesty, regret, reassurance. Then why did you say it? Do you even know? I hesitated, then spoke slowly, choosing my words carefully. I think I was trying to seem funny, maybe even confident. Everyone was laughing, and I got caught up in the moment. I didn't think about how it might sound to you, how it might hurt you. He leaned back, rubbing his temples. I get that. But you don't know how much I've been questioning since that night. Every little thing that seemed normal before, now it feels suspicious. It's exhausting, and I hate feeling like this. My heart ached at his words. Mark, I hate that I've made you feel this way. I don't want you to carry this doubt, especially when there's nothing behind it. Is there anything I can do to rebuild your trust? Anything at all? He was quiet for a long moment before finally speaking. Trust isn't something you can rebuild overnight. I need time to process everything. But I also need you to understand that trust isn't just about actions. It's about feeling safe with you, about knowing you take us seriously. I do take us seriously, I said, my voice firm despite the tears. I love you, Mark. And I'll do whatever it takes to prove that to you, to make you feel safe with me again. Even if it means giving you the space you need. He nodded, his expression softening just a little. I know you love me. And I love you, too. That's why this hurts so much. We sat in silence for a while, the weight of the conversation settling between us. Finally, he stood to leave, and I walked him to the door. Thank you for talking to me, I said as he stepped outside. I'll let you know when I'm ready to talk again, he replied. As the door closed, I felt a flicker of hope. It wasn't a resolution, but it was a start. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but I was determined to fight for our marriage, for the trust we had lost, and for the love that still remained. The days following our conversation felt like walking a tightrope. I gave Mark the space he asked for, but every moment apart weighed on me. I was terrified that his need for distance might turn into permanence, but I also knew I couldn't rush his process. To keep myself grounded, I focused on self-reflection. I replayed our conversation over and over, trying to understand his perspective more deeply. It became clear that my joke hadn't just come out of nowhere. It had touched a deeper vulnerability in our relationship that I hadn't seen before. One evening, Sarah came over with a bottle of wine and a sympathetic ear. How are you holding up? She asked as we sat in the living room. I don't know, I admitted, staring into my glass. I keep wondering if there was something else I missed. Maybe Mark's been carrying these insecurities for a while, and I didn't see it. Sarah tilted her head thoughtfully. You might be right. Everyone brings baggage into relationships, even the best ones. Maybe this isn't just about the joke. It's about something bigger. But that doesn't mean it's unfixable. Her words gave me an idea. That night, I wrote Mark a letter. It felt old-fashioned, but I wanted to communicate my feelings without putting him on the spot. Dear Mark, I've spent the past few days thinking a lot about us, about what I said, and about the hurt it caused you. I realize now that my words didn't just feel like a joke. They felt like a threat to the foundation of trust we've built together. I want to acknowledge something I didn't see before. Trust isn't just about the big things, like loyalty. It's about the small things, too, the sense of safety and security we create for each other. With that one careless comment, I broke that safety for you, and I'm so sorry. I also realize there might be fears or doubts you've carried that I wasn't aware of. If that's true, I want to understand them, not dismiss them. I want us to be able to talk about those things openly, even if they're hard. More than anything, I want to rebuild what we've lost. I know that will take time, and I'm ready to be patient. But I need you to know that I'm committed to you, to us, and to doing whatever it takes to make you feel safe with me again. Please take all the time you need, but know that I'm here whenever you're ready. With love. Your name. I slipped the letter into his mailbox the next morning, unsure if it was the right thing to do, but hoping it would show him how much I cared. A few days later, Mark called. His voice was softer than it had been in weeks. Thank you for the letter, he said. It meant a lot to me. I think we need to talk again, but this time, I want to tell you some things I've been holding on to. Things I didn't even realize were affecting me until now. Hearing those words felt like a step forward, a crack of light breaking through the wall between us. That evening, we sat together on the couch again, this time holding hands. Mark opened up about past experiences, moments in his life where trust had been broken, leaving scars he hadn't fully healed from. I think your joke reminded me of those moments, he admitted. Not because of anything you've done, but because it touched something in me I didn't realize was still raw. His vulnerability brought us closer than we'd been in weeks. For the first time, I saw how much pain he'd been carrying, and he saw how deeply I regretted my words. From that night on, we began rebuilding. It wasn't easy. Trust isn't something you snap back into place, but we were both committed. We started having more open conversations, setting aside time to connect without distractions, and even sought a therapist to help us navigate the lingering doubts. Months later, as we sat together at the same dining table where it all began, Mark reached across and took my hand. "We've come a long way," he said with a small smile. "And I know now that you'd never betray me, not even with a joke." I squeezed his hand, grateful for the lessons we'd learned and the strength we'd found in each other. The road had been hard, but it led us back to where we belonged. Together, as the months turned into a year, Mark and I found a rhythm that felt stronger than before. It wasn't just about rebuilding trust. It was about understanding each other on a deeper level. We both realized that the incident, as painful as it was, had forced us to confront vulnerabilities we had long ignored. One evening, as we prepared dinner together, Mark broke the silence with a question that surprised me. "Do you ever think about why that joke hit me so hard?" he asked, his tone curious rather than accusatory. I paused, setting down the knife I was using to chop vegetables. "I think I do," I said. "It wasn't just about trust, was it? It was about feeling seen and valued, about knowing that our relationship means as much to me as it does to you." Mark nodded, stirring the pot on the stove. "Exactly. I think a part of me feared that if you could joke about something so serious, maybe I wasn't as important to you as you are to me." I stepped closer, placing a hand on his arm. "Mark, you're everything to me. I know I didn't show it that night, but I hope I've shown it since." "You have," he said with a smile, leaning down to kiss my forehead. "And I think I've learned something, too." My reaction wasn't just about what you said. It was about the unresolved insecurities I've been carrying for years. "I've realized I can't hold you responsible for my past." His words filled me with relief and hope. "We've both learned a lot," I said, wrapping my arms around him. "And I think we're stronger for it." That night, we sat on the couch, reminiscing about the early days of our relationship. We laughed about silly misunderstandings, shared dreams about the future, and even revisited the night of the joke. "Do you think we'll look back on this someday and laugh?" I asked, half joking. Mark smirked. "Maybe. But let's agree that next time, your jokes stay far away from anything that even hints at cheating." I laughed, nodding in agreement. "Deal." As we curled up together, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't felt in a long time. We had faced something that could have torn us apart, and instead, we had come out stronger. Our marriage wasn't perfect. No relationship ever is, but it was real, honest, and rooted in love. And that, I realized, was worth everything.